Hello and welcome to Snack Time.
Welcome to Snack Time, and on this episode we are checking out Rogue Legacy, which just came out on the PS4, PS3, and Vita. It's been on the PC a while, but we thought this would be a good occasion to check it out. And we are streaming on the PS3 for setup reasons, but it's basically identical on these platforms. And Andrew, you want to give the basic setup on what is Rogue Legacy?
Alright, so Rogue Legacy is basically a roguelike type game where you take control of a character, and then when that character dies, you take control of one of their heirs, which basically means your stats carry over, your gold carries over, and so as you progress through, you gain levels through this castle you upgrade, and each thing you upgrade with the gold you collect throughout each run of the game, you will upgrade a different stat like health or magic or strength, or unlock a different thing like different characters in the main area where you can buy things from. And then that all carries over. That's persistent, but when you die, you have to start with a brand new character. The only things that really carry over are, like I said, your gold for upgrading, and specifically your any stats that you use the gold to upgrade. So each run should get progressively better than the last, but it's not that simple, unfortunately. But
probably depends on who's playing.
What's that?
Probably depends on who's playing.
Yes, and in my case, that's not exactly true. But hey, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. I am screwing up a little badly right now, but hopefully I get better. But as my Spelunky, the first stream we did, the Spelunky stream, proves, it might not be the case. Who knows? Either way, you'll get to see a lot of different characters. So there's that.
This game seems a lot more forgiving than Spelunky, Andrew. Am I right?
A little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit. At
least you get to keep stuff, right? I couldn't grasp the concept of losing everything in Spelunky.
You keep your knowledge of what happened in Spelunky.
Okay. Well, but that's not a thing.
It's a thing in your head.
That's a tangible. That's an intangible, as they would call it.
It's tangible in your head. Your brain is tangible.
Right. I mean, I guess.
Yes.
If you're touching your brain, there's probably something. There's a fundamental problem. You
just have to touch the Spelunky part of your brain, and you will see it all makes sense. That's how I did Spelunky.
I feel like if you're currently playing Rogue Legacy and you have a hole in your head, you should stop playing Rogue Legacy.
No, it's fine. You don't understand, man. It's okay.
But yeah, okay. So, in the game, you die and you choose an heir. Do you have a favorite class or path that you're going down?
I try to pick the ones that I'm pretty sure it is. It is ADD or ADHD is the trait where you just like jump really high and move really fast. That's pretty good. And right now I'm playing as a smaller character, but I tend to also prefer like the giant characters because they don't get knocked back as easily from attacks and they have a lot of health. So that too. But generally I just kind of go with what seems interesting. I don't really. Yeah. I honestly unless like some traits look like really annoying, I go with based on name more than anything, because some of these names are dumb, but in a good way, the best kind of way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That sounds great. So the whole thing is, if you get enough gold to buy an upgrade, you can buy an upgrade, and then you're better the next time. If you don't get enough gold to buy an upgrade, then you're not better.
Well, yeah, then you have to use all your gold to get back to the castle.
According to Andrew, you are better because you retain knowledge.
Yes, you are learning. I mean, it's a little trickier in Rogue Legacy because you're using a different character who might have different like traits, which could affect the way you play, and they also have different classes and stuff. So it's not like Spelunky where you just have a character and that character is your character. But yeah, it's definitely more persistent in a way that Spelunky isn't. But yeah, I think
so like basically When I play, I just gotta hope that there's a barbarian available every round, because the barbarian class basically stays alive longer.
Yeah, basically.
And
that's kind of how
I can't stay alive, so I need a barbarian to come close.
So basically, your runs of Rogue Legacy are less, how far can I get, and more, oh god, I hope I collect enough gold to make this worthwhile before I inevitably die, right?
Yeah, no, yeah.
That's me too. Hey, I'm right there with you. I saw the first boss once, and he decimated me in like 5 seconds, so, hey, I mean, I saw him, so that's a step in the right direction, but...
Yeah, for me, if I make it to the boss, my plan then is, oh, well, I'm doing really well, I should really, really backtrack and get as much money as possible, because next time that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Ooh, I can upgrade the Barbarian. I'm going to go do that.
Oh, you should.
Yes.
Class you get more barbaric. It's great.
Ha, see, it says Faro Deuce. That's a reference.
I get it.
That's a joke right there.
It's a reference.
Video game humor, guys.
Oh yeah,
get it?
Yeah,
I am hip with the lingo.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey.
But yeah, speaking of video game humor, Totem. All right. Totem's hilarious.
Toad is
can
great.
Be. No, anyway. But yeah, so Henry, you were just at the International, correct? TI4, and
TI4 was not for everybody, but it was still a strange, bizarre, wonderful time.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait. It was strange and bizarre? Whoa.
Unique.
Okay.
Weird. I had a hard time describing it. I've never been to anything like it before. It was almost too much at times, looking around the arena and seeing 10, 12,000 people watching people play games.
Was there a lot of Dota?
Was there a lot of what?
A lot of Dota.
A ton. There was.
Perhaps
I watched
too much
probably
Dota?
15. Well, by the end it might have felt like it. To be fair, most of the quality of the actual matches. I mean, Valve did an amazing job. I wrote a little bit about it in Serotonin, which will be up tomorrow. But they did an excellent job, sort of making it a very sort of more than just the game. So there were artist workshops. There was a lot of swag you could buy. Sort of great side events. A lot of Dota celebrities signing autographs.
Dota celebrities.
Dota celebrities. We walked with one to the arena, Purian Flax, and I didn't know who he was, and all my friends were freaking out. And I was just talking to him. I had no idea who he was, so I embarrassed myself a bit. But yeah, it was great. The quality of the games overall was extraordinarily good until the few final matches, which there was a lot of weak-willed teams that sort of gave up very early that everybody was a little upset with. But besides that, it was I think pretty much from what I've heard, a smash success.
Are you a Dota celebrity, Henry?
Oh, I wish. No, actually, no, I don't wish. That means I would have to play about 20 hours a day, and I don't think my brain or my heart can take it.
Okay, before we move on from this...
I'm a celebrity among my group of friends, and that's about it.
So, I would say you're a celebrity among us, in terms of you're the only person who plays Dota.
Aw, thanks, guys.
Yeah, congratulations.
Well,
But so, here's the thing. Henry, you can tell me if you think this is true, but I think during the International, that is actually when the least amount of Dota is happening.
I can see that, because most people are watching instead of playing. Is that what you mean? Like in terms of the actual, game around the world? Oh yeah, not even close, which is strange. I think it'd be way more fun to play than watch, but
I think maybe a lot of people will be maybe watching. Can't you watch through the client, even through...
You can. That's generally the...
So.
Can't you even control the camera and stuff, or am I thinking of League of Legends?
I don't know if you can control the camera. That may be right, but I know the easiest way to do it is through Steam. You can watch matches on YouTube, but that's not till a little bit later on. You get a whole bunch of rewards for watching the game through Steam, so a lot of people do that. They get a lot of in-game rewards and points and things like that, so they really sort of encourage you to... So you see a lot of my friends list were on, quote-unquote, playing Dota, but they weren't. They were just watching all the international stuff. So, I think Valve realizes how big the event could be when the prize pool just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and
Sir Teddy
I can't
was
really think of too many things that they could have further exploited, I guess, to make it a better event.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. And you wrote an interesting piece on that, which will be up, tomorrow morning as we're recording this.
I have another Dota question.
No.
Oh, last one. Go, Ender.
How many, at least maybe according to Steam, how many hours of Dota have you personally played?
Oh, boy. I don't know if I want to admit this. It's not as bad as when I asked my buddy how many days, because World of Warcraft used to measure game time played by days, and I think that was embarrassing people, so they changed it to hours to make them feel better.
I don't see how that would make you feel that much better, but okay, I guess I get it a little bit.
Yeah, I guess it's just like hours. It's like, who knows how many, 1,800 hours is, but it's like, you have spent 3 months of your life playing this game. You're like, I need to stop. So my current counter for Dota 2 says that I have played 974 hours.
Oh, man.
That's a lot of hours.
What are you going to do to celebrate 1,000?
Saying it out loud makes me not proud. I don't, probably by losing a game. I'm not sure. It's difficult to celebrate in Dota. I passed 1,000 games a little while ago, so...
is your win-loss ratio okay? Is it about even?
It's usually, the game sort of makes it so it's about even, so if you win a bunch, it'll put you against tougher opponents. I think right now I'm about 11 games above 500, which is basically how I play and with who I play. That's about as good as I'm going to get, so I'm pretty pleased.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you say you're not, I mean, I don't know. If it's a game you're enjoying, isn't that good time spent? Those close to 1,000 hours.
It was, and to be fair, I played a lot of that when I was unemployed for an extended period of time. So I'd like to think that lately, and it's true, lately I haven't been playing as much. I might play a game every other night, or if I've got a lot of time on a weekend, I might play a couple. But back, again, when I was looking for work, it was just sort of like basically 6 or 7 games a day, and that's way too much. That's not healthy for anybody unless you're playing professionally, and even then. That's I question their resolve. So
I have one more question for you, Henry.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Have you ever been chased by a haunted painting?
Oh, there must. Oh, I'm trying to think. There was one game where haunted paintings chased you. What was it? I feel like it was Castlevania 64 or something. Nowhere near as fun as Rogue Legacy.
No, not even close.
But no, thankfully, not lately. I've not been chased by any haunted paintings.
That's good. I have several times.
Recently?
Okay.
Yeah, just now, actually.
Yeah, that's
terrifying.
All right. Anyway, are you sure you're done with questions that don't really seem to be about Dota to Henry?
Have you ever played Dota 1? You played Dota 1, right?
Oh, I played Dota 1. Yeah, I played it way back in Mount Alice in Sackville, New Brunswick, where the internet connection was a little rusty, so we would often get kicked. So it's nice to play a game where that doesn't happen again. But many years ago.
Okay, so you've stuck with Dota for a long time, basically.
Yeah, sort of started when it first started up, and then spent years not playing it. I was sort of surprised to see it relaunched, and I was hesitant to go back to it. I went with a group of 4, and 2 of my best friends were the ones who introduced me to Dota 11 years ago, and it was kind of funny. We were sitting in the stadium just soaking it all in, being like, can you believe this is a mod that a few guys made, I think, 11, 12 years ago even, resulted in this. Sort of hard to believe.
Have you ever played League of Legends, though?
I haven't. No, I haven't even tried it. I'm scared to. I know a lot of my gamer friends. There's very few that play both, despite their sort of genre similarities. I mean, they're both MOBAs. It's roughly the same map and goal. They're 2 completely different games. And I remember watching the final match at this con I was helping out at last year, and I could barely follow what was going on. I would have thought I would be sort of all over it, but nope, totally clueless when it comes to League.
I apologize for anyone watching the stream now. This might make you a little nauseous, but
yeah. So what is your strategy with this? Is your strategy to turn it upside down, or turn the controller upside down, or what?
My strategy is to play the game and not die, as it always has been. But I just want to try this because I've never tried it, and I feel like you need to try this at least once when you're playing this game. So it seems interesting. I regret it immediately, but hey, this won't be my only death. So.
Cool.
Trouble.
That's very healthy attitude, Andrew.
But yeah, so
Just admit that you're going to die, and then you won't be angry when you do.
Exactly, yeah. I just, this life isn't going to go very far, but I might as well just enjoy it while it lasts. Right?
So yeah, let's go around the horn while you're dealing with upside downness. And Henry, we'll go ahead and finish up with you. Besides probably some ancillary Dota, anything you've been playing?
Like a couple things. Still going very slowly on Wolf Among Us. So that I know episode 5 just came out, and I had waited until it was all released before I started because I don't like waiting on someone else's time. So I'm doing the same thing with Walking Dead Season 2. Enjoying it very much, not quite as much as Walking Dead Season 1, but certainly the atmosphere is there. Really enjoying the pacing. I find is quite strong. Voice acting is great. So yeah, I'm just on chapter 4. Just started chapter 4. So I've heard 4 is sort of the weakest of the bunch, so maybe that's why I've been hesitating, but I've heard chapter 5 is quite a strong one, so I'll just consider it the calm before the storm.
I will say that game is probably a lot better playing it. I think, unlike The Walking Dead, I will say that game is probably better playing it altogether, because I feel like the episodic structure kind of hurt that game, especially once you got to episode 4, and it was like maybe an hour at most, and most of what happened didn't really feel that important until the very end. Like,
right.
It wasn't bad. It just was like, it felt like, oh, we have 5 episodes, so I guess we need to make this one about something. We can't make it the conclusion, so we should just, I don't know, introduce these other characters and then move on from them.
I mean, from like a strategic perspective, if you're making a 5-part series, the one you invest the least amount in is the 4th one.
Yeah,
because you got to keep people hooked, and you got to have a good finale. But once people got to the 4th one, if you have a good 5th one, then people are just going to power through it.
Also, kind of, I guess that would make sense considering The Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 4 is probably the weakest in the series too. So, not a great episode either. You'll see when you get to it, Henry.
Yeah, no, I imagine Graham's right. Very few people are going to be like, oh, I loved 1 through 3, but since 4 wasn't as good, there's no way I'm going to play 5. Like, that just won't. It's just not going to happen. Not very often, anyway.
Yep.
Cool.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Henry, you've also been playing it. You've also finished Assassin's Creed 4. We need to talk about this.
Let's talk about it. I haven't finished it.
You haven't finished it?
I'm on mission, I think. I'm on memory number, I think, sequence 10, memory 2, I think. Sure. So I'm not quite at the end, but I'm getting there.
All right, you're getting close.
I'm getting there. My main complaint is not the sailing. The sailing's awesome.
The sailing is awesome. Okay.
I know someone tweeted and said I didn't like the sailing. No,
that was me because I was confused. What was your complaint then? I thought it was
the best part. I just don't think they should have made a pirate/stealth game. I don't think pirates are stealthy by nature. When you get off the boat, like in an AC2, you've got all these great like churches and cathedrals and all these great spots to dive from and climb on. But when you're doing stealth sections in this game, you're hiding in grass and on very small huts.
Okay.
And it really loses a lot of the grandeur, and I feel like they just should have made this a pirate game instead of forcing AC4. The whole game feels rushed to me.
Two things. Yes, go ahead, Graham. Sorry.
Still fun, but I mean, I find a lot of like the instant failed stealth missions. I think are probably my least favorite thing in any game, and they have more than a few of those.
I will completely agree. I think this game had some really weak missions, and yes, the eavesdropping missions. There were way too many of them.
Yeah.
It was. It definitely had problems. I will not deny this. It was far from a perfect game, and I think it could have been better if it was just a Pirates game. Which supposedly, if that one survey that went out last year is to be believed, that might happen. A standalone Pirates game using like this kind of like as a basis, like the specifically the sailing and the ship upgrading and stuff.
Right.
So maybe that'll come from Ubisoft, and that'll be great. That'll be the thing you want.
I hope so. I just hope they don't rush it, because it seems like we want to come out with an AC game every year. You can tell there's glitches. It doesn't feel as polished. It's too bad. I just don't care about the story.
Though I think the sailing and the actual pirate stuff more than made up for the mission design in my mind. And I get like when you're on those missions, and you're not in love with them. You want to get them over with. You probably rate them 1 star if you even do that.
I rated more than a few 1 star. Yeah, no, you're right. And I'm the same as you. If something's great, I'll usually make it overlook the other stuff. So I might just being a bit impatient, but sometimes when you're like swooping from one ship to the other and you assassinate one guy and there's this big sword fight breaking out on the deck of a ship. I mean, that's fantastic. That's what the game should have been built around, not stealth.
But I swear, the reason this started, almost a month ago, I feel like, or a few weeks ago at this point, when you mentioned it on Twitter, and you said, we'll talk about it, I swear it was because the sailing. I swear you said you had a problem with that. And maybe... I may have been
in an angry space. I don't... the ship battles, I don't love simply because I find... there's a lot of sections where, I think what it boils down to is I'm not very stealthy. I've never been very good at stealth games. So when I get a pirate ship, I think the one-on-one fights are really cool, but I find it really frustrating when you go in and there's 6 of them, and then you have to become anonymous to interact with something, and I find maybe I haven't upgraded my ship enough, and I found I died a lot. So I think it's mostly a combination of me sucking at stealth versus actual game choice design, because the actual ship, when you're watching the 2 ships go at it and the waves crashing over, it just looks incredible. No denying that at all.
Okay, well, I'm glad that, because that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I thought you had a beef with the ships. I was like, what's the deal,
Graham,
man?
you are basically a moderator, a great negotiator, and a diplomat, because Andrew and I have come to terms about Black Flag Assassin's Creed 4.
Well, see, here's the thing. I'm also kind of a producer of, an entertaining web show.
Right.
So I'm also doing a horrible job, because it would be much more entertaining if you guys are really mad and yelling at each other.
You're wrong, Henry. You're wrong about everything. Assassin's Creed 4 is the greatest game ever made. You're just wrong. Stop being Henry. Stop being wrong. Stop, Henry.
I don't like the side
Henry,
missions.
you're being wrong again. Stop it. It's the greatest game ever made. Pirates, awesome.
It's in my bottom 100 I've ever played.
It's my favorite. I'm changing my favorite game post on Snack Bar. It's Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. The entire text reads, Henry is wrong, all caps.
There we go. There's entertainment for you.
There you go. Okay.
I can't stay mad at you,
better
Henry.
about my job now.
I can't stay mad at you, Henry.
Graham, thanks, pal. You too. Graham, did you want to mention we got... I know you've probably been playing some games. Did you want to talk about that?
Sure. So I've been playing a lot of games.
What?
So I'll quickly go through a few of them because... I've been spending the last couple of days playing Metrica, which comes out on Vita next week. And
if you have PlayStation Plus,
talk about that. Huh?
And if you have PlayStation Plus, you can get it for free when it comes out.
You can.
Yes.
And so, yeah, our review will go up Tuesday at noon Eastern, and you should check it out. The review. I can't tell you yet whether or not you should check out the game.
You're not. Yeah, you could talk about the review. You just can't talk about the game. I'm sure the review will be fine.
You should totally check out the review. The reviews looks great.
What would you give the review?
Got some interesting content in it.
What would you give the review out of 5 so far?
4.
4? Okay.
Yeah. It's for a small market.
Yeah.
But yeah. So besides that, I also have been playing a whole bunch of games that released in Europe, but not here.
That seems like a very Graham thing, yes.
Yeah, so I have a Gaijin guide going up on Monday, which is about specifically that, because I've had so many people talk about, even you guys really, with I think that game sounds great, but I would like to understand the game as I play it. And I understand that compulsion to want to understand the game. And the thing about that is there were some games that got released in English, just in Europe. So I've been playing a few of those that I hadn't gotten to have a more thorough piece. It's been a lot of soccer, or soccer-related things. There's a platformer. You can check it out in the feature next week.
I hate to interrupt you, Graham, but I got to the boss and I screwed it up.
Yeah, no, I know.
That damn eyeball.
I mean, it's Rogue Legacy. But yeah, so there's a platformer. You can read about it. But it stars David Beckham as like a kid version of David Beckham, and he kicks the soccer ball, and that's like the mechanic. It's pretty interesting.
Wait.
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's
what he said.
Take a platformer that looks like halfway in between Super Mario World and Yoshi's Island.
Okay, I'm with you so far.
I'm okay with this.
And think about like Yoshi's Island sort of mechanics, except for like instead of doing like the aiming thing, you just can kind of point in one of 4 cardinal directions and kick a soccer ball.
Okay.
So you have like a projectile that is a soccer ball, and you are David Beckham, but like little kid David Beckham.
So this is based on a true story, based on his life growing up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the developer is the same developer who I don't know if you ever played Denki Blocks. It's a pretty great GBA game that came out here. But also Quarrel, the like word-based Risk game that came out on XBLA and mobile a while back.
Yes, actually, that game's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that team. They made this game, and it's actually kind of great.
So he perpetually has the soccer balls with, like, he kicks one and then he has just another one, or is the soccer ball come back to him?
It's a little complicated.
Okay.
I might have to go into detail on the mechanics of Go-Go Beckham, but
that's a great name.
It's pretty good. But yeah, so I was doing that. Earlier today, I was actually checking out Mega Man Battle Network because it just released on Wii U Virtual Console.
That's a good game.
That game's pretty good, and it's cheaper in Virtual Console than it is in real life, which is not always the case for Game Boy games. You know, like you can find a lot of GBA games for less than $8, but no, Battle Network's consistently 20 to 25 still. So it's a good deal, and it looks great on there. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't the third one also come out, or is that one still coming out? Battle Network 3.
I know that like very early got approved.
Oh, okay.
Through I think they're going to release them in order.
Good. Okay, that makes
which is
sense.
fine because frankly, like you can. Some people think 3 is the best. Some people think 2 is the best. But that's kind of it. Like I don't know who is in another category. See, it's mostly those 2.
I gave up after 3. I kind of too many of them. Not interesting enough.
Yeah.
Not different enough. Just they were really good when they started out, though.
Yeah, and 2 is
probably the best. I think it's the
2 is definitely one of the best GBA games.
The best GBA games?
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm not saying the best. I'm saying one of the best.
But still.
Yeah.
I don't. Man.
It's pretty good.
It is really good. Don't get me wrong. Those games are way
yeah.
better than they had any right to be. I think they're much more interesting than I thought they would have been when I first heard about them. But I don't. One of the best. I don't know about that. It's really good though.
Well, we can talk about that later. But I just to wrap up the conversation, what I've been doing besides that. And well, including some of that, like Go-Go Beckham, I have been carrying around since it's been summer and it's warm outside, and I want to be outside and enjoy things. I've been carrying around my Game Boy Micro and playing some stuff on that.
What's that?
It's great. It's like a Game Boy with like a correctly lit screen that fits in a pocket.
It's a Game Boy that's incredibly uncomfortable to use. And if you have normal-sized hands...
I have pretty large hands, but I gotta tell you, like, I would not recommend, like, heavy action games on that, but for the things I generally like to play, like, I'm carrying it around, playing, like, old Fire Emblems and, Mario and Luigi and Final Fantasy Tactics Advance and stuff like that. Like, it's really cool for stuff like that. And it actually works really well for a game where you play as a kid who will grow up to be a professional soccer player.
I have a recommendation for anyone who thinks they want a Game Boy Micro. You should just get a Game Boy Advance SP. Yes.
So
buy a Micro?
Graham did.
Yes.
I thought it was a joke when I first saw it.
So I mean, at the time, it was not particularly well marketed because the DS was out, and it wasn't. And if I remember correctly, it was more expensive than an SP. I believe it was like $100 and the SP was 80 or something like that. But it's just a cool piece of kit, especially now. Like I think it is better as a system now than it was then. I mean, I'm not going to argue against the AGS 101. That thing's pretty great. As long as you're getting, again, the second model SP and not the first one.
Yes.
But it's just like how good those games look when you put them on a small screen like that. Like, they look better than DS games.
I will say, yes, those games look really nice on that screen, but I don't want to play them on that system.
Well, you just don't like handhelds, and it's
I
the
like
most
handhelds that are not poorly designed.
It's the handheldiest handheld, so
I like
it the
handhelds
least.
that when you hold them, they don't make your hand hurt after a while. That's why the
You just
Vita
need to hold it better.
and the 3DS XL are the best, and anything that came before them isn't that great. Except for maybe the DS XL. That one's pretty good, too. I'm just trying to say, basically, handheld design prior to these past, let's say, 5 to 6 years has been not so great. That's what I'll say.
Get out of here.
The Game Boy Micro is terrible.
Nope.
It's terrible. Hey, you know what? It's a nice little thing to look at and be like, yeah. That's what I can say about that.
That's the thing. Well, I gotta tell you, I have a lot of fun with mine, so whatever. Do you know?
Do you have like a shrink ray that you just point at your hand specifically and use that?
Graham, I'm afraid you're not allowed liking different things than Andrew and I, so you're in big trouble.
Alright. Well. Why I oughta. Alright, so let's move on from this topic because you're wrong and you just need to, be over there with your wrongness, and we'll continue. Andrew, have you been playing anything besides Rogue Legacy?
Man, that's a good question. Honestly, nothing recent, I'm afraid, but I will talk about one that I feel like we haven't really discussed, which is the Banner Saga. Which, actually, we have... Wait, no, that was... No, okay, we didn't really discuss that. I know, Graham, you've played that back when it came out, right?
Yes.
And Justin reviewed it for us, right?
Yes.
Okay, I have my facts straight. Yeah, we never really had a conversation about it because this was before we started this whole streaming thingamabob. So,
right.
Anyway, yeah. So the Banner Saga, I started playing that. Picked it up. Actually, got it from a friend during the Steam sale. Finally cleared out everything else I wanted to play and said, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to play the Banner Saga. And man, that game is great. I say this
pretty good.
As someone who doesn't really like strategy games all that much, with some exceptions, like strategy RPGs, with the exception of maybe Fire Emblem, which I think I like specifically because of the permadeath stuff, and I think it's those are the best.
Good game.
Those are the best strategy RPGs on the market. It's Fire Emblem games. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I would play that game with a walkthrough. I'm too scared of permanent death.
Well, then you can play it on casual mode. Look,
yeah, play Awakening on casual.
I've already fully pitched you on this game, so you need to have bought it already.
I know.
Yeah, what's the deal, Henry?
Too many deals out there. Too many games.
You get that one.
No, I gotta wait. I'm moving soon, so I'm trying to purge and try and get rid of stuff rather than getting more stuff. So I'll wait till I move in.
But the good thing is you can get it digitally. Fire Emblem on, you can get it digitally.
That counts. I'm counting digitally as more stuff.
But it doesn't take up any space except on your little SD card that you have in your 3DS.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah. It's my own way of trying to justify not getting it.
I'm going to continue to talk about the Banner Saga after I fight this boss. So you guys keep talking about Fire Emblem and why Henry should play it for like 5 seconds.
Well, I can talk a little bit about the Banner Saga while you take care of this. So the one thing that I definitely noticed when you get into it is it doesn't have the standard, strategy ideas that most games have. That, there's usually basically the way you win in any game where you have multiple units against multiple units is that you gang up on somebody and win by reducing their numbers. You super can't do that in the Banner Saga.
Yeah, definitely not.
How come?
Well, so there are basically everybody has sort of two sorts of health. Basically, there's the ability to take actions, sort of So you can kind of attack them in two ways: one damaging them, and one increasing the ability to damage them. Anyway, it's kind of complicated to explain, but basically it requires actually paying attention and having like tactical moves, and not just like, hey, we're just going to ball up in a corner and then hit one thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's interesting in that way. Basically, what's great about that game is the art. The art's magnificent.
Oh yes. Yeah. It is a gorgeous game. If there, I don't even know. There might even be one. But if there's ever a Banner Saga art book, I will buy one, and I will put it on I will display it on my shelf proudly.
I think there may have been something tied to the Kickstarter campaign, but yeah, I don't know.
Hopefully, they have one that's actually released for people to buy at some point. That's what I want.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they made one, I think they'll probably have it available to buy at some point. I just don't remember if there was something like that. I feel like there was.
Probably with that artwork, I wouldn't be surprised. Because that's like the first thing you see when you go to the Kickstarter. Like, yeah, I want this game, and I also wouldn't mind having an art book with this art. So I'll back this and pay extra for that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Also the music. Austin Winery, guy who did the Journey soundtrack, among other games, really, really good. I think that game does a really good job of setting mood almost immediately. Like you pretty much get everything, or at least the basics of those characters and that world pretty quickly. And although there's a lot to it, it's not super complicated where you're going to be scratching your head during cutscenes. Like, who are they talking about? What are they talking about? Like, you just kind of go with the flow, and it all works. Like, I think that's the thing that's hooking me about it is the kind of the world and the lore and the characters and kind of the decisions you make along the way. That stuff is really cool, and it's just you just don't really see that many Viking games, unfortunately. At least not good ones. There was one that Creative Assembly made on early in the 360's life, which had potential but wasn't so great. And beyond that,
there was When Vikings Attack, which was a game about being in a large crowd, which doesn't really seem like a Viking thing.
Yeah, there's also Volgar the Viking, which is pretty great, but not really anything. It's like you play as a Viking, but you go to all these weird not Viking places and fight these weird monsters. So it's, again, not really a Viking thing. But it has
that game developers, the Viking genre, wide open for more.
I mean, we
exploration.
We're already getting through pirates. Okay, like Assassin's Creed tackled pirates. Let's get Assassin's Creed with Vikings next.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Vikings are like the least stealthy, but we can figure something out.
Yeah, that's why I like them.
I really like, and I don't think that. Like, it's not the strategy. Like the battles themselves aren't super complex. Like, if you don't play a lot of those kinds of games, you can get into it really easily. And I'm really enjoying it so far. I need to dig back into it, but Rogue Legacy kind of took over my life these past couple of days since it came out on PSN. So, but that's basically all I've been playing. I guess real quick, I'll just touch on another game I played. It's super short, but I think everyone should check it out. There's a game that came out a couple months ago on Steam called The Fall. And it's the first of, I think, 3 games, or at least 3 episodes. And basically it's about you playing as this, like, automated kind of, like, think of, like, Cortana in the Halo games. Like, you're kind of in HUD, in, like, spacesuit type person who's there to protect you and guide you. You play as one of those, but controlling a pilot who is on the verge of being killed, and you are like dying in this suit, and you're directly controlling the suit as her controlling the suit, trying to save her pilot. And it's kind of like an adventure game with a really cool like art style and like some amazing like atmosphere, and it's got some weird there's shooting in it, and it's not, that part's not so great, but it's good enough to get you to where you need to go in that game. And the puzzles are awesome, and it's got a cool story, and it's super cheap. It's like I think it's like $10, maybe a little less than that. Cool. I just want to put that out there. That game's great. Has a fantastic ending. I'm a sucker for like really, really powerful endings that make you want to like keep playing even if the game is over. Like, to me, that's why Transistor is probably my favorite game of the year so far, specifically because of the way that game ends, among other things. So like, this game is right up there with that. That's that. I recommend that. Play it.
Yeah, well, cool. So, one thing I do want to talk about, since the day that we are recording this, July 31st, is the 25th anniversary of the North American release of the Game Boy.
Hey.
I just want to talk about the Game Boy. Don't worry, we're not talking about the Micro again. This is old school.
This is the real deal.
Thank goodness. The good stuff. Here we go.
Sure, yeah. Okay. So I just want to just kind of talk about, like, original Game Boy games. Let's leave out color stuff for this discussion, since there's enough to deal with the original system.
Okay.
Game Boy games that you just really, really liked. You know, that maybe, like, have memories, or just you think are the best, or I'll let you guys think about that, but I can start.
Okay, go for it.
So, one game that I just have, like, a lot of fondness for, and I can't really explain why, except for to say that I had it, was Kirby's Star Stacker.
Huh, never actually played that.
So, it's just a falling block puzzle game, starring Kirby, arbitrarily. And there actually was a Super Nintendo sequel to that game in Japan, so I may talk about that at some point in a Gaijin Guide, but the Game Boy version was a worldwide release, and you know, I played a lot of Tetris. Like, I played a lot of Tetris. I still remember being able to, like, clear level 20 as, like, a 4-year-old, which I can't do now. But so I just really liked puzzle games on that system, and it really worked well for that. So getting, like, a new, different thing, like, sure, Dr. Mario came out on it and stuff like that, but having, like, a fresh, new thing, you know?
I can get behind that.
Man.
Is it a game worth going back to, and is it easy to find a copy of? I don't think it's not available on 3DS or anything, is it?
I believe it actually is, available on 3DS Virtual Console.
Okay.
So you can check that out. You know, it's one of those games where if you play it endless on the lowest difficulty, it doesn't end. Like, I don't mean like it doesn't end until you lose. Like, basically, you're just gonna have to, like, fall over and die of exhaustion, because as long as you're a competent player at the game, it just doesn't end. But you know, the whole thing is you work up your difficulty levels, and I remember it's one of those things where I could just sit down and play that game, and, like, look up, and it'd be like 6 hours later, and I'm somehow still managing to keep my stack down and keep my points up. So I don't know. I really like. I don't know if everybody will like that game, but I really like that game.
I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Like, I think I have heard of it, but I don't think I've ever actually seen it in action. Like, how does it play exactly? Like, compared to another puzzle game, is it actually just really like Tetris, or, like, in terms of, like, basic?
So the way the mechanic works is most of the blocks are star blocks, and those are, I mean, besides giving you more points when you clear more of them, they're kind of just blocks. And then there are blocks with different Kirby characters on them, like there's a Waddle Dee and stuff like that. And the idea is that you sandwich stars between two like other blocks to clear them, either horizontally or vertically. So the thing is to clear those and then have the falling blocks, you know, line up stars between things. And it's a pretty combo heavy game, because once you do a 2 or more combo, the game drops, like, temporary combo triggering stars at various spots on the board, and so if you can take advantage of that, it can trigger a lot of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's in 3DS Virtual Console, and it's like $3 or something. So I mean, it's the original Game Boy game on 3DS Virtual Console. It's not that expensive. But yeah, so I don't know, maybe check it out.
I might actually, to continue. I feel like the tradition that has stopped, hasn't continued like I wanted it to. I will probably go buy that. Maybe not while I'm playing Rogue Legacy, but, like, Immediately after the stream. How about that? That's close enough, right?
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, it's a great game to just play in little bites,
Yeah.
you know?
I was actually...
Or, again, very, very long bites.
I'm not just saying this just because I'm talking to you, Graham, but I was actually really looking for a new puzzle game to check out that I haven't played before. And I was going to look at stuff on the 3DS eShop / Virtual Console and see if there's anything good there to play on the go.
So I will mention,
break, maybe,
since you say that, there is the competent Game Gear version of Puyo Puyo on there.
Huh.
But
you wouldn't recommend that over...
Puyo Puyo.
You wouldn't recommend
it's not a very
that.
good version of Puyo Puyo, but it's functional. I mean, it's just a really low resolution version of Puyo Puyo.
You wouldn't recommend that over Star Stacker, though, right?
No, because this is the only way you're going to get to play Star Stacker.
Yeah. Okay.
I just did want to mention that is available if you are, if this fizzles out and you have another couple bucks.
Sure. Is that around the same price? $3?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Game Gear games, yeah, I think they're 3 or 4, and I think that one's 3, like the RPGs are 4, something like that. Yeah.
Good to know.
Oh, man. This is difficult to watch, this particular
Yeah, this can get a little annoying, to say the least.
Andrew, you're very patient. I'm not hearing a lot of cries of anguish.
The only times I've really gotten upset is when I got kind of close to fighting the boss that one time, or beating the boss that one time, and I just screwed it up again. I'm getting there, though. I will get that boss. In true Spelunky fashion, every death is a learning experience.
So, Henry, do you have a Game Boy game you have fond memories of? Just want to talk about?
Yeah, obviously, I think Tetris on the Game Boy was probably the first game I ever played. So but Tetris is available for every single system. So I don't know, but for me, sort of the quintessential initial version for me was for the Game Boy. My parents liked the idea of getting me a game that was sort of not just about killing things, with puzzles and stuff like that. They were able to justify it. Probably my favorite was probably Metroid 2: Return to Samus.
Okay.
I remember being a kid. It was very difficult. I'd never played a game like that before. I didn't get backtracking. It took me a long time to get anywhere. And then I never beat it. When I went back to it in university, I think I beat it in about 5 hours. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, either I was not very good as a kid, or I've just learned and gotten better as an adult. But still, pretty deep game, especially for Game Boy.
I think there's something about the Game Boy that even with a difficult game, especially when you were a kid, it was pretty easy to just keep with it, because you carry it around and keep working.
Yeah.
Because I know, let's get to my list of shame. The only main series the only Metroid game I have completed is Metroid 2. The only main series Zelda game I've completed is Link's Awakening. Right. But there's something about it where it's just I just carry it around and you could keep persisting, But
I get that.
I've played so many of those games.
The only ones you've finished have been the handheld ones.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And not all the handheld ones though. Specifically those that were on the original system. I got so far in Oracle of Ages and Metroid Fusion, things like that. But there was something about the original Game Boy where it's it was hard, but in a surmountable way.
Yeah,
you
I get
knew
what you're
you
saying.
could do it. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Metroid 2 is pretty great.
See, that's why I never even as a kid. First of all, my first handheld was the Game Boy Color, so I got in a little late. But I liked I really enjoyed especially growing up, with a bunch of friends who also had Game Boys. It was great to be able to play those games on the go. But after a while, I just kind of realized I don't enjoy playing games not at home that much for the most part, with some rare exceptions. I really like I was talking about puzzle games, but on the go. But beyond that, it's So for me, I've had a weird relationship with handhelds overall. So I get why you feel that way about that, but for me, it was the complete opposite. I never played Link's Awakening until much later, not just because I got a Game Boy, didn't get to start till Game Boy Color, but also because I just never really Zelda game on a handheld. I could just play this one here on my TV. Why would I want to do that? And then Metroid 2, I played maybe 10 minutes of, and I don't know. I'm also not really a big fan of Metroid 1 that much, so I don't know. Maybe that's also part of it, but I would love a Metroid Zero Mission style remake of that game. That would be great. But yeah, that's another topic.
I think it's pretty good.
Maybe I'll give it another chance someday because that's not. Well, it's on 3DS.
It might be difficult to get back to.
Yeah, I just for me. Like I think that's actually the complete opposite of what you said. I think that's like the one Metroid game I've ever actually finished. So much less played of beyond a few minutes. Saying, "Oh, why play this? I could just play Super Metroid again." So yeah.
Man,
sorry, Graham.
You hurt me inside. Like it's soul-rendingly.
Hope you're happy, Andrew.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm just killing Graham. Like saying the Game Boy Micro sucks. Talking about Metroid 2. Sucking, or well, it doesn't really suck. I'm just kidding. Metroid 2's fine, I'm sure. But hey, let me brighten the mood here by talking about handheld Game Boy games I really like.
Okay.
So, I'm not a huge fan of the Mario Land games, but Mario Land 3, more specifically Wario Land, is incredible. Like, hands down. One of my favorite handheld games of all time, and like I feel like 2 was really good too, but beyond that, I think 3 and 4 were just it didn't do it for me as much. But like the first one, man, I think that was actually one of my first handheld games too, so that probably has something to do with it. But those games I really liked. They were different enough from Mario to distinguish themselves from the Mario Land games and also just the Mario games on NES and Super Nintendo, but they also I really like the level design. I really like just playing as Wario, like grabbing enemies and like just I don't know. There was something about those games that
I think specifically that they got rid of lives.
Yes, that really helps. Like that.
Your game is not over.
Yeah.
You just maybe you get set back just a little bit, or maybe your score goes down if you care. Like there is like a skill run in most of those games where if you do really well you get some sort of extra accomplishment.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just about problem solving, and then there's so many quote unquote power ups that are actually debilitating, but they're important and debilitating at the same time.
Exactly.
Man. Yeah, I've actually been replaying through Wario Land 2 recently.
Yes, that game is pretty great too.
I need to,
because I picked it up from Club Nintendo. The game still holds up really well.
Yeah, the first one too. Yeah, they're both excellent games. Like, did you? How do you feel about 3 and 4? Do you like those as much?
I think 3's fine. 3 is very similar to 1 and 2.
Yeah.
4 is the one that kind of starts it on a different path.
Yeah. I did not like 4, but yeah.
I think it's a good platformer, but not a good Wario Land game. But
What were you going to say, Henry?
Yeah, Henry's having a little bit of technical issues. I don't know. Wario Land. Yeah. Let me ask you this, because I'm me. Have you played Virtual Boy Wario Land?
I have held Virtual Boy in my hand once, and I was like, oh, okay.
Well, it's got a stand. You don't. Never mind.
I touched the Virtual Boy once, and I was like, okay. How about that? I've never actually played anything on the Virtual Boy ever, so no, sadly not. I've heard that that's one of the Virtual Boy games to play. I've heard that is one of the good ones. So
it's not my favorite Virtual Boy game, but let's not go into that. Let's stick to the monochromatic
would you agree
Nintendo
it's one of the good
system.
ones?
Yeah.
Would you agree it's one of the good ones, at least?
I think Virtual Boy Wario Land is better than Wario Land 4 and the Wario Land games that came after that.
I know someone who thinks that's the best one.
Virtual Boy Wario Land?
Yes. And he's like someone who's like I could never have gotten into any of the other Wario Land games except this one.
It's a good game. Like I said, Wario Land 4 is a good game, and I just ranked it ahead of it. I'm just I think Wario Land 2 maybe is my favorite Wario Land.
Yeah, I think the first one I like a lot, mostly because of the nostalgia, but I think 2 is the better game. But
I think because 1 has to establish all of these things.
Yeah.
And then 2 gets to play off of them.
I will say though, I know I didn't mean to rag on Mario Land. Mario Land 1, I don't think a very good game, but 2, I went back to fairly recently. Just back then, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but going back to it, Mario Land 2 also really good.
Yeah,
A really creative Mario game, and I was surprised. Like I said, Mario. I don't think the first Mario Land game is all that great, but the second
I think it's
one,
very different.
Yeah, I mean,
But also like, really, really impressive for what it was at the time.
yeah.
It for Super Mario Land 2 to exist, there had to be some serious exploration of what it is they could get out of that system. So
Exactly. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't hate Mario Land 1 or anything. I just think like if you're gonna play any of them, play the first Wario Land or just skip to 2 and then also play Mario Land 2 because it actually it holds. It's a game I played recently for the like, I guess not the first time, but the first time I really was digging into it, and yeah, I really like that game. So those would be my picks. Also, Link's Awakening is also really good, but I don't think we need to talk about how good Link's Awakening is. Everyone knows how good Link's Awakening is.
Yeah, so one thing I am going to... so as I've been teasing for a while, I have a Retron 5 on the way, and hopefully we'll be able to check it out maybe next episode with some titles. But I have some Game Boy games I want to show off. And one of them is... Have I talked to you about For the Frog, the Bell Tolls?
I've heard the name before, but I don't remember if you've talked to me about it in detail.
So basically, it's this adventure game where you are like a frog, but it is basically practice for the Zelda engine. So like it looks when you're playing it like Link's Awakening because they made Link's Awakening in this engine.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it never came out in America, but it's a Zelda style game, so you can kind of get through it without knowing what's going on in the text.
Is it relatively inexpensive to pick up a copy of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, Game Boy games have basically no value, which is great for importing.
Yeah.
There are a couple, like getting like cartridge copies of the Mega Man games or the Pokemon games, like then maybe Final Fantasy Legend or whatever. Like those might be harder to find. But
man, I didn't even talk about Final Fantasy Legend. Those games are great too. So many good Game Boy games.
Yeah, they're pretty great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think I'll probably bust out some Game Boy stuff because this has been a fun conversation.
Yeah, please let's make that happen.
Yeah.
Also, might I recommend a game you told me about and I bought on stream? Hey,
yeah,
you could play a little Motocross Maniacs too, just a little bit.
Yeah,
that game holds up.
It does.
As someone who never played it before, let's say a couple of months ago, pretty great.
Like week in time when that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think the games that just knew to be really simple.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the complaints about the early Game Boy lineup is that a lot of it's like Sokoban block pushing puzzles. Here's the thing. Block pushing puzzles hold up really well.
Yeah. Who would have guessed?
It has some of the best block pushing puzzles you'll find anywhere.
I do like pushing blocks.
Man,
from time to time.
I mean, nothing beats a good Lola, unfortunately, but still,
that is a sad hole in my gaming history. I've never played a Lolo game.
Well, we've already gotten your purchase in, but if you ever have some spare Virtual Console cash, picking up like Lolo 2 or something,
all right,
it's pretty cool.
Is that on Wii U Virtual Console or just Wii? Or is that actually?
I don't think it's on Wii U yet.
Okay,
but it's one of those things where it's been on lots of stuff. So
it's bound to come to Wii U eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah,
okay.
I can't even remember if it was like bound for or releasing on a 3DS Virtual Console, but it's available in places.
Lolo 2, the one to play then?
I think it's the classic one. I mean, Lolo's good.
Yeah.
But Lolo 2
if I'm going to play one of them, then...
I remember... I don't remember specifically what it was, but I remember the original Lolo having some things that needed to be worked out with the mechanics that got worked out. But yeah, I don't know. That's not a Game Boy game.
Yeah. Sorry, we got off track.
Yeah, but anyway, the Game Boy's great.
It is.
Whatever I say it is. So deal with it.
The Game Boy, anything that a Game Boy that doesn't have micro in the name is pretty awesome.
So look, There's one case in which I will understand people not wanting Game Boy Micro, and it is if they have a Game Boy Light.
Oh, what?
Are you familiar with the Game Boy Light?
I don't think so, no.
So this, again, only released in Japan, because it basically came out like right before the Color came out, and there just wasn't a lot of time to promote it. But basically, think about if you take a Game Boy Pocket, like a silver Game Boy Pocket, and then have the screen be like Indiglow, like the old watches. So like it lights up and it's awesome.
That sounds
and
okay.
That's the Game Boy Light. It's pretty great.
Huh.
Like if you're gonna play monochrome Game Boy games, it's a pretty cool way to play monochrome Game Boy games.
Is that expensive, or is that also not too?
That's pretty expensive, as it turns out.
Oh, all right. Never mind.
Because collectors think it's cool, and it got released in a small number in only one country.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, yeah, but still, man. Whenever I see people having those, it's like, that looks awesome. Like, I'd imagine if they came out over here, and I could, like, play Game Boy games, like, under the covers when I was a little kid, like, I would be so ecstatic about that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That might have been my first Game Boy instead of the Color. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Actually, that actually wasn't really my decision. I wanted the Game Boy, and then I wanted the Game Boy Pocket, and I was like, okay, you didn't give me either of those, but hey, this Game Boy Color seems pretty cool. And they're like, oh, fine.
So let me ask you, what game did you get with your Game Boy Color first?
I got some really bad Indiana Jones game, and also Pokemon Red.
Okay.
So
that sounds like the right time where you would get it in for Pokemon.
Yep. It was right when the Game Boy Color came out. I wanted yellow, but pretty much sold out everywhere as far as I remember. So I was like, okay, I'm sorry, I got blue. Blue was my version because I liked Squirtle better than Charmander. That was
yeah. I mean, Squirtle is better than Charmander.
Exactly.
But you could pick him in any version.
I know, but at the time I just like.
Sure.
I didn't know that. I was just Pokemon. Everyone likes Pokemon, and I just want to play Pokemon. So.
Yeah.
Kid me didn't know.
But yeah, my first games were very different because it was 8 years before that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bet.
So I had Alleyway, which was the like breakout style game, and F1 Race and Tetris.
Tetris is really good.
I played all of them pretty
ones.
equally. Like I played a lot of Tetris, but I played a lot of Alleyway and a lot of F1 Race too. Those games were super not okay, but that's fine.
Hey, when you're a kid, anything's okay.
Yeah, I mean,
you just play what you get.
I do remember, and this was one of my first instincts for this, but I do remember really, really trying to find 3 other people with F1 Race because it was the first 4-player Game Boy game.
Oh man, how'd that go?
Didn't make that happen.
No.
I didn't have that many like social interactions with people as a 3-year-old. Didn't have a large group of friends.
Yeah, really? I'm surprised. 3-year-old you wasn't
not a lot of social circles.
Yeah.
But yeah, so to this day I want to do it, but I feel like 4-player F1 Race is not big enough. So I'm currently on my quest to acquire, as many copies of Faceball 2000 as I can. Because you can daisy chain those for, I believe, 24 people.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'll join you in that if that ever comes to fruition and I'm there.
There's no reason to do it because it's a first-person shooter from like 1992 on the Game Boy.
Yeah, but hey, if you could do it, why not, right?
Right. So, yeah, right now I currently am sitting at, 3 cartridges of Faceball 2000.
Got a few more.
And I have a decent collection of link cables, so that wouldn't be a problem. Well, I don't have enough for 24 people, but
you'll
I
get
have
there.
6. Yeah.
I will say, actually, one more game I got along with around the launch, not at launch, or around the time I got the Game Boy Color, was a one of the, I don't remember which one it was specifically, but it was Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle. I actually thought that game was okay. I know some people aren't a fan of those games, but the Game Boy version of that game was decent. Maybe it's just because, again, I was a kid and I was just like, whatever.
Yeah, that game has an interesting story. Because basically that game came out with like 5 different licenses depending on the platform and the territory. Because it at one point was a Mickey Mouse game.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
At one point was Roger Rabbit. But yeah, it gets pretty crazy when you look at that stuff. But I don't know. That game seemed pretty okay.
Yeah, that version was okay. I've never played any of the others. That one was good though, from what I remember. That Indiana Jones game, I can't remember the name of it. That was terrible. Even as a kid, I knew I made a horrible choice. Well, why did I do this? I'm just going to play Pokemon a bunch, and that made it okay.
Yeah.
But it's like you get 2 Game Boy games, and one of them was this terrible Indiana Jones game. Hey, you're a kid. You see Indiana Jones on the cover of a game, you're just like, oh sure, I like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I get that.
This was going so well when I got to the boss like 2 times in a row, and now I just can't even make enough money. I'm falling into the vicious cycle of I barely make enough money to make any of these runs worthwhile. It's because we're talking about Game Boy games. Getting all excited.
But yeah, so we should probably wrap up the episode.
Give me one more run here, Graham.
Okay.
One more run.
Okay.
One more good run. One more run. I don't know how good it'll be. Could be great. Who knows?
We'll see how Sir Wilson II can handle this.
I don't think it'll last more than 10 minutes.
Okay.
We'll see. So did you ever? So you had the original Game Boy. Did you get the Pocket and then the Color as well when those came out?
I did not get the Pocket. Okay. I rocked the big brick until the Color came out.
Yeah.
Mainly because, first of all, that Game Boy wasn't mine to begin with.
Oh, okay.
My brother got it for his birthday, but then he needed to finish eating at his birthday party, so he handed it over to me, and I'm not sure he ever got it back.
That works.
Yeah, it worked out really well for me. But yeah, so I played that for a while, like played Pokemon on that, and then got the Color.
The Color was great.
The Color was pretty good.
Yeah, I like it.
I don't think I ever really got the lineup that I really could have appreciated with that, but I definitely played a lot of original Game Boy games on it and had fun picking out the correct color palette for each one.
That works.
Yeah.
What color was your Game Boy Color? Do you remember?
So, you're making me tell this story, huh?
Sure. What story is this? I didn't know there was a story.
So I will start by saying that, like, I grew up in an area where there was one store that sold games. It was Kmart.
Okay.
It's a small town. So, all of my young game buying stories happen at this same Kmart.
All right.
But so what happened with that was, they finally were like, all right, we'll you get the Game Boy Color. So we go over there. It's like, which one do you want? And like, so I'm peering into this case, and the hardware is sitting on the bottom shelf of this case that's not lit.
Yeah.
So I see a red one, right? And I'm like, I want the red one because I think that looks cool. Because there was like lime green, and there was like purple looking, and there was red. I was like, oh, okay, red. So I got the red one. There's not a red one. So I had the berry, the magenta Game Boy Color.
Hey.
Had I been able to properly see the colors, I would have probably gone with the indigo. They didn't have the like translucent one.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
I still think that's an okay color.
Yeah. What color was yours?
I had the lime green.
Yeah.
Green is always my go-to if I could choose green. So
I was much happier with the Game Boy Advance color choices.
I don't even remember what color.
That's a Kmart story for another time.
Okay. See, my go-to store at that time before we had any. Actually, I had a local store called Game Craze, not Crazy, Game Craze.
Sure.
And then, but I only went there. I only went there from time to time because originally they were just a rental place.
Yeah.
Before they actually started selling games, so I only went there to rent games. But my local choice of store, and by choice I mean it was the only option, was KB Toy Works. I don't know if you.
Oh man!
So
you paid like $4 extra per game?
Oh yeah. Well, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't, but hey.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, as a kid, I was just like, I want that game. Okay, I got that game. Cool.
Yep.
So yeah. But by the time I actually had money to start buying my own games, sadly there were no more KB Toy Works. And by sadly, I mean thankfully, because there was an EB Games where that KB Toy Works used to be. So everything was right with the world. So man.
Yeah. Well, cool.
All right, so I died. I made it to the boss at least, but yeah, I didn't make it much farther than that.
Yeah, so you'll keep playing Rogue Legacy.
I sure will, Graham. I sure will.
And we will see you again in 2 weeks with another episode of Snack Time.
Do we know what we're doing? Do we want to say give any hints, maybe?
So like I said, if we can manage to have things work out to show off some Retron 5 Game Boy stuff, I think that would be a fun way to go.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, for Henry and Andrew, I'm Graham. See ya.